This episode of the Celluloid Mirror is brought to you by Dr. Raby's Frothy Pops, the lollipops with bite. When you need a lollipop that's going to really fuck your shit up, you got to turn to Dr. Raby's Frothy Pops, the pops with not only bite, but froth. As with all of our sponsors, you can find Dr. Raby's Frothy Pops, the lollipops with bite, on Route 13 right behind the Bennigans.
I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? Well, you're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on,
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Look at these lies.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Even if one of them survives,
the only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Welcome to the Celluloid Mirror. I am one of your hosts, Sean Mannion.
And I am your other host. I am Nicole Solomon. And on the Celluloid Mirror, we take two films and look at what they reflect about each other, the audience, and our culture at large.
And this episode is a tribute to the recently passed Sam Neill. We'll be discussing Wim Wenders' Until the End of the World and John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness.
We're going to start by giving a brief synopsis of each film, and then we will discuss our responses to the films, what the films say about each other, and then we're going to wrap up with a little bit of the critical response to both of these films. Fair warning, if you have not seen one or both of the films that we are discussing today, there are definitely going to be spoilers. How are you, Sean?
I'm okay. I just got back from vacation, which was good, but also there was a lot of running around. And I have a freezer full of fish. And I need to figure out what to do with that. But, that's kind of appropriate for In the Mouth of Madness, which got a lot of Lovecraft influence in it. And he was terrified of fish. And I agree. They're terrifying animals.
Can we reanimate the fish?
No, they're in pieces. So
I know, but so was Frankenstein's monster.
I don't think I have I definitely don't have any heads of fish.
Yeah,
so
but if you're looking for a part of a fish, I feel like that would be the easiest one to get. Like, fish heads are like one of the most famous, commonly found parts of a fish. There's a whole song about it.
That's I guess that's true, and that would fit in with kind of the the horror for at least one of these films. But they're different. Yeah, I guess it could work. There's some skin left on some of them, so
yeah,
there's that. So that's anyway. I have a freezer full of horror. So depending upon whether you just think that just that much meat is horrifying, or just like fish are horrifying. So
sweet. And I'm doing great, Sean. Thanks for asking.
Well, I hadn't gotten to it. I was finishing answering your question, and let's be honest, I don't care.
That's fair. Also, I didn't get to go on my vacation, so I don't.
That's true. I feel bad about that. Well, you wouldn't have had fish. You would have had pictures of the.
I would have seen fish.
Greek cats and stories about swarthy men who were just kind of leering, and you'd be like, "Yeah, no, you're just there," because that's what happens when you go on vacation. Swarthy
this is
men.
True. Fun fact, and then we can get into the films. The first time I ever saw a man non-consensually jerk off in front of me in public was when I was on vacation in France when I was 14 years old. So
well, yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Swarthy European men doing inappropriate things in Europe. That's what you do.
We can't say swarthy anymore. You need to stop with the swarthy or
Is
so.
there a thing about that? Is that now like a slur or
Yeah.
something
No,
like
it's
that?
always been. It's always been. It's like you might as well say
Oh,
garlic eater or something. If you start saying swarthy, we're talking about like ethnic whites. We're potentially talking about
I guess I always just imagined like European men, white
swarthy.
European men.
Swarthy means dark and hairy. I bet if we look it up. Let's not look up
Probably. Let's
the
not
dictionary.
look that up.
No, but it is a racist. It has racist connotations.
That's fair.
But like, so does your face. So
Exactly. I mean, I'm a hairy white dude, so
yeah, but you're Irish though. So I feel like you're like swarthy adjacent, but you're too like rosy cheeked.
fair. Fair, especially in this lighting right now.
Especially in this lighting right now. In any event, what does the IMDb synopsis say about
So
Lovecraft?
for In the Mouth of Madness, the IMDb synopsis is: an insurance investigator begins discovering that the impact of a horror writer's books have on his fans is more than just inspirational.
Interesting, intriguing,
And
vague.
then what about Until the End of the World,
Well,
Nicole?
the synopsis for Until the End of the World on IMDb, or IMDb as its close friends like to call it,
Mm-hmm.
Claire and Eugene's relationship is falling apart while a nuclear satellite threatens to fall out of orbit and destroy Earth. Claire travels the world where she meets Sam, a man with connections to technology that could change everything. That's vague as hell. Once you get past the nuclear satellite part, it's like, oh, there's a technology?
Yes. Well, they don't want to give it away because if they
I know,
told you
but
it was the technology that it is, you'd be like, oh, well, I know how this is going to end. Um,
would you? Would you?
no,
I
not at
wouldn't.
all. It's a
Okay.
joke.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I guess I haven't seen this movie in a while. So what did we think about these films?
That is a great question, Nicole. I really like both of them. The In the Mouth of Madness, there are better John Carpenter films, but that's one that I always I don't know what it is about it. I just have a particular love for that one. Like it's genuinely like there's much better films. Like The Thing is much better, but like there's also much worse. But I just always had an affinity for it. I think I like it because I read Stephen King when I was younger. I just finished listening to the audiobook for Doctor Sleep. So I guess I still read Stephen King. But it has like it's very coded for like it kind of being like about Stephen King and it kind of not really, but it's also I guess it's just that northeastern horror because it's got the Lovecraft vibes, it's got the Stephen King vibes. It has the whole thing of like the town that is in a northeast state in New Hampshire instead of Maine. And it's Hobbs End instead of Castle Rock or Derry or whatever towns that King uses. But it's still kind of those same vibes, so it fits. I would probably say that in some ways, even though it veers off quite a bit, it's one of the better Stephen King movies without actually being a Stephen, but it's not a Stephen King movie, but it's like one of the better ones. And then I just watched. You talked about Until the End of the World a few times, and I only just watched it because we were going to do this. I really liked it. It is. I had to. I don't usually break things up into two, but I had to break it up into the first 2.5 hours or 2 hours and like 45 minutes, and the last 2 hours of it. But it's a good, like it moves along at a good pace for being almost 5 hours long. And I really enjoy it as like a low key sci-fi thing. But we can talk more about those details in a bit. What did you think of the films, Nicole?
I love both these movies. I agree with you about In the Mouth of Madness. Like, it's not The Thing, it's not Halloween, like, it's not even, well, They Live is a totally different kind of project. Anyway, John Carpenter's one of my favorite directors. Love John Carpenter, love a lot of different flavors of John Carpenter. This is like maybe the best, certainly one of the best of what I would consider his kind of later stuff, like 90s and on. It's I agree with everything you said. It's a fabulous film with a lot of great stuff to recommend it. It's a good horror movie. If you like horror movies, if you like horror movies that are about like the relationship between the artist and audience and the power dynamics there and all of that, which, we're head up our ass filmmakers. Of course we like that. Of course I like that. Until the End of the World, I saw much earlier. These are both films from the 90s, but I didn't see In the Mouth of Madness until I was an adult, at least at some point. But Until the End of the World, I saw shortly after it came out. Not in theaters, but I saw it on VHS. Like, I rented it, and it was a movie I was very excited to rent because of the soundtrack. For those who are my age, Sean is a little bit more youthful than me. But when the Until the End of the World soundtrack came out, like at the turn of the 90s, it was like chock-a-block full of alterna faves of the time. It was like Talking Heads and REM and Julie Cruz. If you were into Twin Peaks at all, like, that's a big deal.
Right.
And Nena Cherry's on there. All these like post-punk bands. It's like Can and Elvis Costello, Lou Reed.
Yeah.
It's like
it's got a great soundtrack.
Murderer's Row. Point being, so I saw it when it came out and I really liked it. This was the theatrical cut, which was like less than half the length.
I think it was, what I've read is about 3 hours long.
Yeah, it was under 3 hours though.
Okay.
It was, so like whatever. So almost half the movie gone. It got pretty bad reviews, as we may discuss. I loved it at the time. The director's cut is so much better, though. I liked even the fucked up, butchered theatrical cut because it still had half of that movie in it. And we'll talk about what's in the movie, but like, especially a lot of the stuff in like the last act, a lot of that was still there. It was a lot of stuff before that was taken out. And the core concepts about technology and the internal and the relationship between those is certainly, if anything, only more relevant today than it was at the time. I saw the director's cut, the 5-hour version, for the first time, I think in 2020. It was like a after COVID hit thing. I had probably your Criterion login at the time. I subscribed to Criterion Channel, everyone. Subscribe to Criterion Channel. And I lost my train of thought. I set aside a day.
The first time you watched the 5-hour.
I set aside a day. I was doing the Artist's Way at the time, and I was doing my, like, if any of you have done the fucking Artist's Way, they're like, take yourself on a date once a week to do something creative. So it was like my date with myself for the week was, I'm going to watch the 5-hour. It's hard to set aside 5 hours to watch a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I did, and I was like, this is great. And then Sean, not this Sean audience, the other Sean, and I made the time to like watch it together at some point, and he loved it too. It's a film I would watch more often if it wasn't so fucking long. I love these films. Until the End of the World has a lot of like emotional resonance for me in a lot of ways, in part also because it was a film that I first saw, when I was a kid and have revisited throughout the years.
And just for context for the audience, the other Sean is, if you go back into some of our episodes previously, he was our Sondheim enthusiast and Vanilla Ice expert who we discussed Cool as Ice and the West Side Stories with.
And on our previous podcast, we talked to him. And if you want to be really creepy and look up all the places we have talked to him on the internet, maybe you'll find Post Malone's dad telling him to die of AIDS. Sorry.
Maybe.
That is a thing that
Yeah.
is on some of our public stuff. Just Post Malone, come collect your dad. Post Malone's not going to collect his dad.
No,
Post
I
Malone's too
suspect he
busy
will not.
turning country or whatever the fuck he's doing now.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to him much then, and don't pay attention to him
Good
now.
for you. I wouldn't have if his father wasn't telling my partner to die of AIDS. To be fair, I don't think it was actually Post Malone's dad who said that one. I think it was just some Post Malone fans who said that. His dad, I think, was a little bit more judicious in his harassment. He didn't like.
Yeah. At
He wants
least he
everyone to
was.
like
At
his
least
son.
he was. Yeah, which understandable.
It would be sweet if there
sort
wasn't
of.
the whole like homophobic, hateful bigotry component. I would find it kind of heartwarming. Anyway, speaking of heartwarming, what do these films have to do with each other?
That is a great question. Other than Sam Neill, because we're talking about Sam Neill. Well, he's not playing a writer in both of them. He's the writer in Until the End of the World. He's an investigator but a writer is involved in the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yeah.
And in a way, aren't we all the writers of our own lives now?
No, that is so true.
So true. So fanciful in so many ways.
I'm just thinking about it.
And as we all in many ways should think about it, consider words and notions and ideas even.
Sometimes we maybe have different words because they refer to different things, and it can be useful to be specific so that we know what we're talking about.
But in both of them, they're both road movies of a sort.
Mm-hmm.
Much more so Until the End of the World. It's longer and there's more of the world that they explore. But in the Mouth of Madness, they hit the road to get to Hobbs End, and there's like stuff happening there, and then it moves to a different location, and that's in search of the mysterious stranger. In that case, it's Sutter Kane. I have a question, though, about that, Nicole. Perhaps you can help me with that.
Doubtful.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
Do I read Sutter Kane?
Do you read Sutter Kane?
I don't remember what I'm supposed to say. What's the call?
You just look shocked and confused. That's what happens in the movie.
I mean, I remember. There's a great.
That's it. But yeah, when he like crashes through the thing and
that's
does
such a good scene.
So you got Sutter Kane in the Mouth of Madness, and they're trying to figure out where he is. And then in Until the End of the World, it's a road movie, and Claire, the woman who is sort of a fixation of Sam Neill's writer, is looking for Sam, played by William Hurt. There's a great cast in, even the people who I don't know. I have no idea who that drummer is. I should probably look up his name. I neglected to do so before we were talking. But the guy who's just drumming on everything and Until the End of the World, there was something just kind of nice about him that I liked. But yeah, so it's both pursuing a mysterious stranger, and then that has consequences, and in the end, mind-bending consequences for the main characters. And in the Mouth of Madness, he gets institutionalized because he's exposed to these otherworldly like craziness. And in Until the End of the World, both William Hurt and Sam and Claire end up fixated on watching their recorded dreams on those video screens, which I thought was a really interesting part of it. So the technology, do you want to explain the technology in Until the End of the World? I think you watched it more times than I have.
I mean, how it works?
No, just like what it is. What it is.
Does. So it
doesn't actually work. It's a movie, Nicole.
There's technology in Until the End of the World that initially is developed to try to help blind people see, because Not Sam Neill's mom, the William Hurt's mom. William Hurt's mom went blind, and his dad is trying to like develop this thing that will allow her to see stuff that like is recorded using this special camera. So like basically William Hurt's going around trying to like record friends and family and stuff on this special camera that his mom will be able to see, and they're doing all these experiments to try to make it work better, and because it's, you know, the it works, but it's like super fuzzy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I love the
as a
effects for
part,
that. It's very cool. Anyway,
I totally agree. I love, this is a big reason I wanted to see you to see the movie was the design, but also like some of the effects. Like the way they make that stuff look is so cool, and not how stuff looks now. So as a part of developing this technology, I don't remember. They realize, I don't remember if they stumble upon it or if it's a like hypothesis that they test or what, but they are actually able to record people's dreams, and they start recording people's dreams, and then people are watching their dreams play back afterwards. And it's not like perfect. It's like very pixelated, like weird kind of like heat camera kind of looking stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, people very plausibly basically get addicted to like trying to watch and see and like, you know, re-experience their own dreams, which I will say, if this technology existed, that would be me. I would 100% be like hunched over some little screen, like fascinated by a fucking dream about me tripping over my own feet or whatever the fuck it was. Absolutely.
I mean, in a lot of ways, there's what 30 plus years ahead of time, he was kind of anticipating like this kind of screen addiction that we have now. With
Absolutely.
if you look at phones and social media and TikTok and YouTube here, where we're live streaming right now as that sort of like dream machine that people are just sort of overly fixated on until they're like zonked out in the middle of the desert. Like it's and they have to be detoxed from like there's a social media detox in this, and until the end of the world. Sam Neill forces Claire through one of those before social media was even a thing. So
he anticipated it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I like so much about Until the End of the World is, you know, there are other films about people being zonked out on technology, right? Like that's not unique to this film, about the, you know, potentially addictive qualities and ways that technology can make us more solipsistic and self-involved and all this. Like that's not unique to this film. But this film shows it in a really compelling way that also doesn't blame it on the people who get addicted. I feel like there's a lot of really moralizing films out there about addiction of all sorts, where it's kind of like portrayed as a failure on the part of the individuals. And I feel like this film portrays it as like, but of course.
Yeah.
If this is out there, people are going to react with it this way. And it's not that like Claire is bad and doesn't have as like much moral fiber or something like that. Like it just has nothing to do with that. And maybe that's in part because Wim Wenders is not a US American filmmaker. But that is something that I think makes the film more useful than a lot of things, and maybe easier for people to find themselves within it. And, you know, without feeling like it's Wim Wenders being like, you should be reading a book.
But you should be reading a book. We're listening to a book.
Or listening to us.
That too. That's also an option. It's always an option. Probably.
Or you could not listen to us and just send us money. That's even better.
I'm good with that. Exactly. Send us money. Yeah. So you got that tech in there and how people are using it, and then that's also connected to how in the Mouth of Madness, like, well, speaking of, you should read a book. Well, don't read Sutter Kane if you want to keep your mind But in that one, like there is also kind of this loss of a sense of self and loss of, I guess by the end of it, it's suggested that well, no, it's not suggested that Sam Neill is the writer, but he's the one who delivered the book to them, because he kind of loses months of time and doesn't realize that he actually apparently was taken over. But yeah, there's sort of a similar thing. It's a metaphysical loss more so than the technological loss that happens in Until the End of the World. But they're similar, sort of.
I thought it was a little ambiguous, and it was open that potentially Sam Neill was Sutter Kane.
No, Sutter Kane
No?
is Jurgen Prochnow in it.
And
That's
that
what I
wasn't
think, anyway.
like figment of Sam Neill's imagination.
No,
Okay.
it was the woman. Like, I think part of the thing is also that, like, the book and Sutter Kane and like the old ones, or the other the things from beyond the veil, like change reality. So the woman that he is traveling with, whose name is escaping me at the moment, who worked for the publishing company, then doesn't exist at the end of the movie. It's like, no, you went out there on your own.
Right.
So she's kind of erased from existence, much like that town of Hobbs End was sort of created by, and all the characters in it are from the Sutter Kane books.
Young Hayden
And
Christensen on the bike.
oh yeah, I thought that kid looked familiar.
It's it's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, well, no wonder he turns evil later if that's his hometown. But yeah, I think you can see a lot of connections there, and a lot of it's interesting, and in how the In the Mouth of Madness, it's about like this fixation on the work of a particular author, and lines around the block for a book. And that feels like a lot of that feels like a very sort of the type of book it is, and the type of interest there is in it feels a little bit like very much an 80s 90s sort of thing, the kind of the peak of again, Stephen King, and interest in authors like him. Like, I remember back then there was on cable, there would be like there was like ads, and I think I saw this because it showed up in an Alamo Draft House, opening reel before the movie. But like, he used to do those ads for his books. Like, you get like the Stephen King collection, and they'll send you a book a month for X amount. And he liked being on camera back then, so he would do his like, I'm a spooky guy act to sell his books there, and that would be a thing more so than I would say now. Now it's like the marketing for that stuff is totally different.
The book industry is different. Everything's different.
Yeah,
everything sucks. Sorry,
that's true. There's that too. But I think that I think it's the same sort of idea, even though that particular kind of frenzy for books or interest in books is faded. That same sort of idea goes around with like anything people become fans of. There was, the movies for a while. I think that's tapered off a lot. I don't know. I think it's all filtered over to other things, but that kind of like cultural fixation on a thing. A particular
also
medium.
We don't have monoculture in the way we used to with any of these, with films, with publishing, with music, fucking video games.
Video games had that for a minute. So
I feel like now, though, like when I was a kid, a big video game would come out, and everyone was playing Mario 3 or whatever. I don't know that it works that way now, because things are so much more niche. There's,
Yeah.
there's the people who like to play the games like Mario. There's the people who like to play the first person shooters. There, and whatever.
Yeah.
It is true.
Do we want to? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it makes me Until the End of the World. I know I keep talking about the soundtrack, but it's like that movie bombed, but the soundtrack was like a thing, like within a
Right.
bit of a niche, but the soundtrack sold quite well. Like if you look up stuff about the movie, like that was the one thing that was a success. Like it was getting a lot of play on like college radio stations, and this was right at like, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like right when like Nirvana was breaking and stuff. It was right like Nevermind time. And REM it was like, I think between Out of Time and Automatic for the People. So it was like post Losing My Religion. And there's like this, I think it's an Out of Time outtake, the REM song. I think of it as the sad bisexual anthem, because it is. It's very pretty. Anyway, what the fuck was my point?
You were just talking about how
even a film as like art house and foreign and their subtitles, and it's not what we like in this country. But even that, like the soundtrack was like alt monoculture. It was on the alt side, but it was, you could see it on the charts at the back of Rolling Stone. It was getting play on radio stations,
It was
etc.
kind of a big deal.
We would not have, I don't know when the last time, we don't have things like that anymore. What we have we have documentaries nobody's seen that Diane Warren recorded a song for, so it's nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, right.
That's how we have niche films that get a little more exposure because of a song, if Diane Warren did it. And that's it.
Yeah.
And bless her. I mean, she earned her niche. She built that niche, and she's camped out there, and she earned it. What were you saying we should talk about, though?
I was going to say, would you like to talk about the critic response to Until the End of the World?
What a great idea. It looks like Metacritic, which is our barometer now for what people think about films. Once upon a time, we used to use a site that I won't say the name of because they suck. Spoiled Nightshade, let's say. But Metacritic, which uses things I like math and transparency, says that Until the End of the World has a score of 63, which is generally favorable. I will tell you, in the 90s, this score would have been lower because this includes when the director's cut came out, people reviewing that. And also most people who reviewed the director's cut when it came out are probably predisposed to like it, let's say. Yeah. So Jordan Hoffman said in The Guardian that it seems like a miracle. He was writing about the director's cut. I agree. It does seem like a fucking miracle. Nobody's making them like this anymore. Nobody is giving money to make them like this anymore. Ebert said about this is about the theatrical one. I think Ebert had passed by the time the director's cut came out. Regardless.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is a classic Ebert. Oh man, now, did you watch that Consenting Adults review that I posted? I'll talk about that at the end because it's my favorite thing.
We'll talk about it there.
Ebert said, a great many scenes in this movie, I'm afraid, can be understood only in terms of the way the film was shot. Do you want to respond to that quote? Because I picked it because I thought it was funny, because I think it could kind of refer to any film, is what I thought was so funny about that quote.
It's a
That's
funny...
not what he meant, but...
No, but like, it's... I kind of get what he means, even though it kind of sounds dumb. And, I mean, we talked about it, like, I think before, is like, Ebert was never necessarily... I know Ebert's like a lot of people's favorite. I encountered too many times where I saw comments similar to this, I think, from him, where I was just like, did you not watch the movie?
We've discussed
but
that on this show. Sometimes he does not watch. He did not watch Hellraiser 2.
No. And I think I remember right, like his review. It might have been somebody else's review of The Matrix that I think of, but I feel like I read his review of The Matrix and was just like, and then I saw The Matrix and I was like, what movie did he watch?
I'm gonna look.
I can't remember, but
I'm looking it up.
But yeah, I think it is the sort of thing. It's such a kind of generic thing, but I can understand, like, and I haven't seen the 3 hour version of this movie or the 2.5 hour version of this movie, but I can understand how it would feel very disjointed and that one would kind of refer to, yeah, they shot this thing relatively quickly in countries all over the world. So, and they were shipping like a couple of the actors around because it's like France, Australia, Germany.
Where did they go to Hong Kong? Is it?
I think so. Yeah. And so yeah, they jump around. So it's a lot of travel for it. So I can see how you'd feel it was really disjointed if they had to chop it up as much as I'm sure they had to do for 2.5 hours.
That's the thing. I was like, this is the 5 hour version. His review does not apply to.
No, I don't think so. Because it's very. I'll compare this to another long movie that got a longer cut. Is the Lord of the Rings movies. The Lord of the Rings movies I have complained about, I don't know if I've complained about it on the show before, are all too long because they're mostly just walking. This is a very similar kind of movie. It's a road movie. The Lord of the Rings movies are a road thing. But I feel like that's even just this 4 almost 5 hour long version. Like stuff is happening through it and the plot evolves and goals evolve. Like they get new goals and new things that they want to do based on things that happen. Like the plot develops. And in The Lord of the Rings, they have to put the ring in the mountain and there's just a lot of fucking walking.
This is so true.
And maybe we'll finally get more attention for the show from people who
are really
who
mad
won't
you
stand
said that.
People get mad if you criticize Lord of the Rings. They're fine movies. I just like to complain about them because I feel like they're long and I'm a contrarian.
But like you're making a good point though, because I think I said to you, you can break this film up. It's fine to break it up. Like it's not going to ruin the experience.
If you made it now, it would have been a miniseries. Like if Wim Wenders made it now, they would have been like, yeah, we're going to release this as like a 4-episode limited series.
And it would be
I don't think it would be, but I also
it's better this way.
I think it's better this way because if you had to end it episodically, it wouldn't, even though it is somewhat episodic, if you had to end it episodically, I don't think it would work in the same way that most of the miniseries now don't work.
Dude,
because
they're all leaving it open to have a second season, hopefully, like Wayward, which
there's that. But even like their episodes like aren't episodes. And it's just like, oh, you just stopped the scene there and you have kind of a clumsy like look for the next thing. And really they're just anticipating that people are going to marathon it. And it's like, and going back and again, going back to Stephen King, going back to what we were talking about, Jess, my wife for listeners, and I will watch the Stephen King The Stand miniseries. We have it on VHS. We've watched it several times. The Mick Garris directed one, since I got it. Well, sometimes we're just like, do you want to watch this? Yeah, we'll put this on. We watched it, I think, last fall again. And it works really well as a miniseries. It's one whole story, but like the episodic nature of it breaks up well. We watched a couple months back, we watched the also Mick Garris directed version of The Shining, which isn't quite, it's not as good as the Kubrick movie. It is more faithful to the book, and I understand why Stephen King likes that. He's wrong. But it still works better as like a mini series than a lot of the stuff that we get now because it's episodic, but there's a trick to it. It's the same as like It. from the 90s. There's a trick to doing those mini series where it's episodic, but it's not. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I don't think you would have to change this significantly to do it. I think the way that like the segments would work, but that's my thought anyway. You were going to say something though, I said. No.
I don't remember.
That's okay. Should I talk about the half-star letterboxed review for Until the End of the World?
Sure.
All right. So we have. So if you're just listening to us for the first time, or it's been a while since we've done this style of episode, we like to look at letterbox reviews just to see about like people's responses. We do not dive super deep. We don't look at anybody's particular things. I just pull up half-star reviews and 5-star reviews and kind of just pick the first thing that looks entertaining. And I thought Element X Cinema's half-star review, and we do half-star instead of 0 stars because people might just not give things star ratings. I actually stopped giving things star ratings lately. And I just, I just wanted people who had enough of a thought to be like, it's half a star as opposed to 0 stars.
Nobody can give it 0 stars on Letterboxd. You can't give a film 0 stars.
You can just not give it stars.
Oh, yeah, but I feel like that doesn't...
Yeah, it doesn't register in my head as like a rating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And you can't sort for that. You can't sort for... Their AI is not powerful enough to sort for very negative reviews.
Right.
Without a star rating.
Right.
Anyway.
So
let's talk more about sorting options on Letterboxd. One of my favorite topics.
Element X Cinema said, half a star for that one REM song.
The sad bisexual anthem.
There you go. So Element X Cinema may be sad bisexual. I don't know. I shouldn't assume things about people online. But the rest is floundering, plotless, masturbatory, paternalist, neo-colonial, definitely sad bisexual. I'm sorry. But like just the verbosity, the words that they have.
I love Element X Cinema's review. You should read the rest of it.
The rest is floundering, plotless, masturbatory, paternalist, neo-colonial, global heartbeat, yuppie, dipshit, faux mysticism. And there's a plot. That's the only thing that I kind of disagree with. Otherwise, pretty close.
I wouldn't characterize it that way. I would say that when I revisited this film, after having not seen it, like, in decades, when I first revisited it some years back, that's what I was like, is this movie I liked a lot as a kid gonna actually be plotless, masturbatory, paternalistic, neo-colonial, global heartbeat, yuppie, dipshit, faux mysticism? That is kind of what I was worried the film would be, and I don't actually think it is.
I don't really think it is. I think I can see why somebody would argue that.
I can 1,000,000% see why, which is why I love the review.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I don't agree, but I appreciate.
And then they continue watching a pile of $24 million on fire for 295 minutes would be far more engaging. Although my friend alleges this film, quote, really picks up once you've entered the 4th hour, which it kind of does. I mean, I think it does.
I agree with that. That is where you start getting the most like propulsive plot. Like, oh shit, what's gonna, it is like kind of like we're on the road before that.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me. I like Jim Jarmusch movies. Like,
yeah. Wim Wenders, if you're reading this, I hate you, and it's been time to retire for 30 plus years. And maybe Wim Wenders is reading it and is super sad.
I don't think so. Cinema. I think he's all right.
He's probably fine.
I think he's all right. Perfect Days did really good for him a couple of years ago. I think he's fine.
So then we got a 5-star review, which I'm going to switch up gears here to the 5-star review. And the 5-star review from Glossolo or Gloss Solo. I don't know.
Another great name.
We don't know these people. We're just crediting them.
I like both of you, honestly. Element X Cinema and Gloss Solo. You both have good letterbox names and you both make good points.
Yeah. And Gloss Solo says, I love Chico and his drumming. Agreed. R.I.P. Sam Neill. His narration and character in this is part of why a movie almost 5 hours long just flies by, and that's true. That definitely helps like move the story a little bit. I'm not generally a big fan of voiceover. I feel like it's often telling us what the story is supposed to be. I think this is good because he's writing a novel about what's happening in the movie, and the movie is very much like a novel, which also ties it back to In the Mouth of Madness.
100%. 100%.
Like it has a very novel structure. Like if you took this, turned it into a novel, not like a novelization, you just took exactly what the movie is and it was a novel, people would be like, oh, it's this great road novel. You could never make a movie out of this, which is a phrase I hate.
I know. It's like there's a lot of movies to make a movie, guys.
Yeah.
You could use your creativity, for example. That reminded me of earlier, I think, kind of what I was going to say, which is like it's long as hell. The pacing is good. It's less boring than most things relatedly. Narration. Narration, I hate when it exists to fix the problems created by a bad screenplay.
Yes, and this doesn't have that.
Not at all. Or I hate narration when it's not brought in to fix the problems of a bad screenplay, but the screenwriter themselves were like, oh, well, I'll just do this. As like, as, you know, that I don't like. I if there is a creative reason for the voiceover, fucking great. But there just needs to be a reason for it to be there beyond, well, I'm worried the story is going to be confusing otherwise.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it is. Like here, there's, structural reasons it works. There's thematic reasons it works. It also isn't just like annoying as hell to hear. Like, when narration comes in and you're just like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
You think I'm an idiot. Fuck you. I'm cursing a lot today for a change.
We're gonna get banned from YouTube Kids.
I don't know what the rules are anymore.
I have no idea. It doesn't matter. We do what we want.
We do what we want. We're pre-deplatforming ourselves. Can you talk
Exactly.
about critic response of In the Mouth of Madness? Because I want to talk a little bit about the role of music in both films.
I can do that. So In the Mouth of Madness got a Metacritic score of 53, which is mixed or average, which makes sense, I think. As we both said, we both love the movie, but it's also not necessarily even one of John Carpenter's best movies.
I think it's like 5 in my top 5. I would say it's probably like
it's probably it might be like sometimes I've definitely said that this is like my favorite John Carpenter. And again, like there are definitely John Carpenter movies that I think are better, but it might be my favorite just because of
because it's your favorite.
Yeah. So our quotes from the critics, starting with Roger Ebert. It is a sign of our times, I suppose, that citizens are fanned into a frenzy by the book before they even read it. So Roger Ebert talking about In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, I mean, actually, you know what? I'm spending too much time scrolling Reddit, and Reddit knows my fixations on I like my superhero movies because I've always been a comic book nerd. I fully acknowledge that most of them not great movies, not even particularly good movies, but I enjoy them and they're fun and they're dumb. But man, that's like he talked about it in terms of books. But man, like seeing like all the like posts about like what's going on, specifically with the Marvel movies.
Dude,
before
it's
that,
not just the Marvel movies.
No, I know it's not just the Marvel movies. They had the DC movies too, the comic movies. I know there's other movies as well that they get people frenzy about.
Adaptation of a pretty popular work. It's kind of from the past though. It just came out. The Odin.
Well, there's the Odyssey as well. Yes. There's that one. I think I see less of. I've seen some of that, but and I'm aware of like the nonsense with that, the frenzy about that.
Your algorithm,
kind of like it pops up and I ignore it, and I engage too much, like because I'm like, oh, this is just the usual. It's the usual bullshit. It's the usual nonsense, where it's like, we want historical accuracy. It's not actually.
It's
It
not.
didn't actually happen.
That is
So
that fucking. I'm not gonna say the man's name, but the man who did like a minute of AI produced his own version of this.
yeah.
That he one of like I'm not on his app, but somehow I saw this somewhere, and that he's like blah blah historically accurate.
No.
Historically accurate. This is going to be in the future. There's going to be fucking Avengers 25, and people are going to be talking about the historical accuracy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you got on the comic book nerd side is comic book accuracy, which I am. Yeah.
To the fucking story poem, fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
and which
they
story
did not
poem,
read, so they do not know.
Yeah.
None of them can tell you because none of them read that shit. Because if they did,
now, in fairness, Nicole, they can't read.
I know that was mean.
But no, it's a thing across these. You get you get the culture war stuff, which is stuff that affected. Well, it didn't affect the box office for Odyssey, but it actually helped. I would say the box office for Odyssey because
I think so.
I think
exposure.
Hold on, just a second.
Oh, fun. While you're talking, I sure can hear the helicopter. Actually, it sounds like it's out.
There we go. Okay.
There's also
I just didn't want the audience to have to listen to the helicopter going by.
Now there's a helicopter over my house. It's probably the same
I can't hear it on your end. Maybe. It sound like it's going elsewhere. I can't hear it on.
It's going
in
the. It sounds like it's going in the direction. Like it flew over your house and it just flew over my house. Maybe it'll go around. I like it when it makes the rounds. Sometimes they make a round just.
It was up earlier when I wasn't speaking, so I was able to avoid it then and just mute my mic. For the audience at home,
cool.
But yeah, it's with the Odyssey. I think the culture war stuff made people more aware of the Odyssey was coming out. People are like, oh, that looks pretty good, and like that's got a bunch of people in it that I really like.
They might be like me, and when they first heard that Christopher Nolan was making a movie of the Odyssey, they thought, wow, that sounds really boring. I won't be watching it. And then this shit happened, and then I had to actually like go look, and I'm like, oh, there's all these actors I love. Oh,
yeah.
And I am so ready to do like such a hard 180 on Christopher Nolan and be like, actually, he's a great director. I may not like any of his movies except for The Odyssey, but fabulous director.
Well, it was I think I made this joke to you or some friends about the movie because people started complaining about Elliot Page being in the movie. And my initial thought as soon as I saw that Elliot Page was in the movie was like, oh, finally Christopher Nolan is going to give Elliot Page like an actual role that actually that isn't just like completely there to prop up the main character. Maybe that's not the case, but just because
we don't know yet. Let's not
we
jump
don't know yet. I don't want to give too much credit, but like
don't give too much. But it would be nice if he finally had something to do because it was very weird when it's like, wow, this person's been nominated for an Oscar and they're just kind of here with nothing to do, like no acting to act.
So yeah, I with there's that one, the same kind of very similar culture war stuff. I think it maybe hurt the Supergirl box office a little bit, but Supergirl had other issues and they knew it was going to be a problem. And they definitely didn't market it as hard as they marketed other competing films that were coming out at the same time. I saw more about Moana, which I had no interest in.
I think that's doing bad too, though, isn't it?
That's doing bad because they just did the animated Moana 2 like 2 years ago, and the original Moana is from like 2020, 2019, something like that, and it was fine. It was a good movie. It was an enjoyable movie. Who wants the live action version of it, especially when I'm watching the trailer, like half of it's still animated anyway, like the chicken character and all that stuff.
On that.
It's just I'm like, who wants that? But I saw more from Moana. I saw more. I do. I saw more about Minions and Toy Story 5.
I don't want to hear Minions ever again. I'm angry that I even know it exists. I don't want to know what it is. I am angry that I have seen a single fucking meme that somebody was like, no, look, it's really funny. And I feel like,
I don't get it. And there's something about bananas, and I'm like, I don't want to
don't tell
understand
me. I
what
don't
this
know that
is.
much.
I don't want to understand what it is. I don't want to understand what it is.
I think it like turns you into a boomer if you like
Probably.
engage. I think it turns you into a boomer and you can't like get off Facebook anymore.
Well, thankfully, I've been off Facebook for the most part.
It's going to bring you back
anyway,
on, though. What else do
right.
people say about In the Mouth of Madness, though?
Right. Let's get back to that. My point being just that, like, this thing that Roger Ebert was saying, like, we have that a lot around it, exacerbated by social media and stuff.
This is why I chose that quote. I thought you might like that Ebert quote for these reasons.
And then Variety said, blessed with an arsenal of special effects that work with Tinker Toy precision. The special effects do work great in it.
Yeah,
I think they hold up really well. And the makeup effects, some of them done by, I noticed this in the credits rewatching it this time, Robert Kirkman, the creator of the Walking Dead franchise and comic book, and then later Invincible, to also reference again more comics. I'm always kind of amused to see because he was a horror makeup effects guy before he got into writing. So do you, Nicole, want to talk about the Letterboxd reviews for In the Mouth of Madness?
You bet I do. So on Letterboxd, Jeffing.
I think it's Jifung. Like,
Capital.
say it like you're French.
Jifung.
There you go. I think that's what it is. There you go.
That's great French pronunciation of this French word spelled Jshfng. Jifung says 0.5 star. Goosebumps made for undiscerning adults, which is funny.
It's funny.
Agree, but like it's funny.
Watching it again so I found this quote and then I watched it again this week after having seen the quote, and I was like, I can see why they're saying that. Not because it's Goosebumps made for undiscerning adults, but because I think the era Goosebumps came out and the era this came out, it's a very similar kind of horror. Like, because it also has like a vibe of, over Goosebumps. I preferred the show Erie, Indiana, which aired in prime time.
I remember that.
But that kind of like investigation of weirdness, and then like, you're totally normal. Like, that's not unusual for other times, but there was a particular like 90s way that they approached it, I guess. And so I can seeing that, but I don't think it's Goosebumps made for undiscerning adults. I think it's just
a Lovecraftian
thing, and it makes sense for it. But who really loved the movie with 5 stars?
Joseph did. The father of our Lord. Joseph says, make what you want of Joseph giving In the Mouth of Madness 5 stars. But Joseph, the father of Jesus, says, me after I got too high once.
Yep.
Very fair.
And I feel honestly, like, I feel bad for Joseph. Like, yes, I love it, and that's great, but also, like, poor Joseph.
Hard to live it.
That sounds like a bad trip.
Not like that time I saw the Dark Crystal elves like in my living room when I was trying to watch the Dark Crystal TV show, and I was like, this is cool. It's just like, looks like I got hologram projections like in my living room. Drugs are good, kids. Don't let people lie to you.
It's true. That's why we're not on YouTube, kids. So we were talking about people on Letterboxd. We are both on Letterboxd as well, and you can find our stuff when we're not really on other social media very much anymore. I do post stuff on Blue Sky, and obviously we're on YouTube, which is considered part of socials media.
If you find me on Blue Sky and you skeet at me or whatever disgusting thing they say over there, I might reply.
There you go.
I do have an account, and in theory, until they get advertisers, at least I might use it.
My Letterboxd is at Uncle Sean, and Nicole's is at Nicole Witt. If you're watching on the YouTubes right now, it's on the screen right next to it.
Witty.
And witty. With T.
Like what I am. Like what I am. Before
Nicole
we go.
Witt T.
Did you not hear what I said? Do you need me to turn it up.
Anyway, it was a WITTE for those who didn't have the the screen thing, and it'll be in the show notes. So, and for those of you who are audio only, Nicole was flipping me off on camera.
Flipping you off slowly.
Slowly with the turn up thing. Like it was very clever, much like these films, like we were in a 90s film.
Real quick before we go, I want to say shout out Shafika Hudson, who died a few years ago and was my Twitter friend. And one of the last conversations I had with her was about the movie Until the End of the World, some night in the early 2020s, when I couldn't sleep. And she and I were talking about it. And she passed away in part because of long COVID. Which you will not find, because nobody dies of long COVID, because you die of stuff that, much like nobody actually dies of AIDS. It doesn't say AIDS on your death certificate.
Right. It's other things that
you would not have died from had you not
had
gotten AIDS. So anyway, I'm thinking about Shafika. She was Sassy Crass on Twitter, and she was
familiar.
Brilliant. I'm not going to keep talking about her, but if you search it up, kids, you can find some of her writings and give her a good thought. I will be today.
And on another note, like, this is us trying to come back to regular episodes. Likely look for us for the next couple weeks on Thursdays. That's our current plan. We even set a schedule for ourselves for what are we going to talk about next week? We don't know yet, but
we don't know.
It'll be fun.
Ideas.
And you should certainly make sure that if you want to see it live or just keep up with it, you should go to our YouTube and subscribe it if you're looking at it on YouTube right now. Subscribe and have it give you notifications that there's going to be stuff from us, and you'll know that we've got a live coming up. And we've got a Patreon. Patreon.com/4MileCircus.
And actually, most of the stuff on it is free. So you can...
A lot of it is free right now. A lot of new stuff on it is free.
It's mostly free now. The new stuff is, at least.
Yeah, new stuff.
So,
there's a lot of stuff.
You just need to give us your email, which is...
which is also valuable.
We won't do anything bad with it.
I mean, I will. But yeah, there's also a lot of stuff if you are paid. There's movies and that we made and other stuff like that. And there's also a couple special episodes of this show that we haven't really talked about in a while. And we'll probably do some more soon. We just needed to get back on doing the show on a regular basis again before we could even really think about doing that. But there will be more coming. More episodes like this where we're doing 2 films. More episodes like we were doing at the beginning of the year where we're just talking about what's going on.
You know what I want them to tell us about, Sean?
What?
I want them to tell us about what their favorite Sam Neill films are, because we didn't even get to talk about... I was assuming we'd talk about, other great films where Sam Neill especially loses his mind. Possession, Event Horizon.
He was very good at losing his mind.
We didn't mention Jurassic Park. That's a little different.
He kind of loses his mind because by the end of the movie, he likes children.
John Carpenter's Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which we were talking about the other day.
Right.
We forgot he was in it. We both forgot.
Yeah, we were talking about what movies to talk about with Sam Neill, and we landed on these 2, but we talked about quite a few others. Maybe next week.
Have you seen
we
that
should
one?
Just chat about a couple of the other ones. Continue talking about Sam Neill or
There's
not.
so much Sam Neill. I just saw this Sam Neill movie actually that was not very good called Irresistible, and it was Emily Blunt and Susan Sarandon and Sam Neill, and it's like a kind of erotic thriller-y type thing. It's not good, but Susan Sarandon holds a cat for it in a while, and those are the 3 people. So it's worth watching.
There you go. It's good people. So more about Sam Neill, but tell us about your favorite Sam Neill stuff. Leave it in the comments here. Go to the Patreon for the audio version of this episode and leave comments there. And, if you listen to us on a particular podcast platform, hey, leave it a review, give it 5 stars or whatever function there is on whatever thing is. No, give it a good rating. Like, I don't care about bad rating. But
It's all
interact with it so
exposure.
other people maybe will find it. That's all I'm saying.
Interaction
And
is the engine that drives growth.
it's true. It's true. That's why I shat on the Lord of the Rings earlier, is just to inspire more interaction, not because I actually have opinions on it.
Quick, how else can we piss people off? Just shitting on Zack Snyder doesn't work.
No, more people have come around to how he's terrible. So, I think we should just wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
That's how we'll piss people off, by just not being here anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to work.
They'll be sad.
They'll be
All right.
so
Say
sad.
goodbye, Nicole.
Goodbye, Nicole.
Goodbye, Nicole.
The Celluloid Mirror is a production of 4 Mile Circus and is hosted by Sean Mannion and Nicole Solomon. Learn more at 4milecircus.com. To keep up with the next episode, make sure to subscribe and click that button to get reminders. You can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/4milecircus. All the links are below. Our opening and closing music is Twisted by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his music at incompetech.com.
I ended up in that hall of mirrors. There was another girl. She looked like me. Exactly like me.
Can you come with me in my dreams?
That'll do, baby.
What happens when the story dies and the evil is set free? I have to return some videotapes.